think that calling Elon Musk a dick is effective messaging?
Well, he is a dick.
Congress is turning into a clown show, in particular with the Democrats lashing out at Elon Musk in new and increasingly unhinged ways. I'm about to show you a little bit more from the kindergartners in Congress who are, taking taxpayer salaries to act like clowns in front of cameras. But the context you need to know about this is Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican congresswoman, when a couple of years ago, showed Hunter Biden, the president's son, showed his dick pics at a House hearing. Yes, she literally did that, and which is, in my view, totally immature and ridiculous. But Democrats have decided, screw the high road. If they go low, we go low too. Because a Democratic member of Congress, Robert Garcia, just did this on the House floor.
Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Greene, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Greene literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing. So I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Greene.
Dude, it's giving childish. It's giving immature. It's giving petty. Like, this is not a good look. You really thought you ate. You really thought you did your big one, like, oh my God, Elon will never recover from this. No, you just made yourself look just as immature and silly as the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world who did this kind of thing to Hunter Biden. I don't know why people debase themselves like this. It's okay to take the high road. It's okay to not respond to your critics by becoming just like them and acting similarly immature or boorish or rude. Like, come on. But this is the problem. Ever since they put cameras in hearings at Congress, they just showboat. Like, how does this help your constituents? How does this solve any of the issues being raised right now by DOJ or questions or concerns about the legality of the things they're doing? It doesn't do any of that. It just gets you attention. That's all it does. It's just showboating and being obnoxious. And I just find it really pathetic. Kudos to CNN, though, because they actually called this guy out and were like, really? You had to do this? And his response was revealing, I guess.
I want to hear why, but do you think that calling Elon Musk a dick is effective messaging for confronting what is a potentially irreversible transformation of the U.S. government?
Well, he is a dick. And I think that he's also harming the American public in an enormous way. And what I think is really important, and what the American public want, is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight for democracy, for the future of this country. And it's important to push back on the chairperson of this committee. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about having decorum, about bipartisanship. This is the person that lies more than anybody else in the entire Congress. And so if she is going to make a mockery of hearings, I want to make sure that us as Democrats are bringing that same level of energy. And of course, after those comments, we went into exactly what Elon Musk is trying to do: dismantling the Department of Labor, dismantling the Department of Education, dismantling all of our consumer protection agencies. And so it's all important, but it's also important to get the attention of the American public and call Elon Musk out for what he is, and to make people know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a serious legislator and she shouldn't be treated as such.
That clip is revealing on so many levels. He's like, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has no decorum and no class, so we're going to do the same thing. Do you not hear yourself? Do you not realize that you're literally becoming the same thing as the thing you say you're against? You're debasing yourself and beclowning yourself. And if those antics make Marjorie Taylor Greene not a serious person, and then you adopt those antics, what does that make you, Congressman Garcia? I love how his defense for calling Elon a dick on the House floor is, well, he is a dick. Okay, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it, but we all think a lot of things that we don't say in a professional context because we act with class or decorum, or at least we're supposed to. I know that ship has kind of sailed on our elected officials these days. I'll also say the eliminate Elon posters and the rhetoric about a fight and bringing weapons, that's heated rhetoric. And people on both sides should really avoid it in this kind of tumultuous time that we live in. And frankly, if a Republican member of Congress said that, I think CNN would accuse them of fomenting violence. That said, some people on the right are overreacting to what Congressman Garcia did say. For example, the Libs of TikTok account tweeted, Democratic Representative Robert Garcia just declared war on Elon Musk, called for, quote, actual weapons to be used against him. This is a clear threat at Attorney General Pam Bondi. So, no, I do think the rhetoric is too heated, but in the context of what he was talking about a metaphorical bar fight, that politics is like a bar fight and they need to bring weapons. They need to fight hard. He did not cross the threshold, the legal threshold established in Brandenburg versus Ohio of incitement of violence. And what he said is not a crime. It is, whether you like it or not, technically protected free speech. So the Attorney General can't and shouldn't even try to do anything about it. It might be rhetoric you want to condemn, though you'd have to also condemn it when Republicans say similarly heated stuff, which they do, but you can't punish someone for it legally. What do you guys think? Are you surprised that our politics has fallen to this pathetic and pitiful level? Frankly, I'm not, but I'm still disappointed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Finally, we're going to do a quick update on a story from yesterday. We talked about the brouhaha where after Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, the Associated Press, the kind of mainstream press institution, refused to update its language and stubbornly clung to Gulf of Mexico in its style guide and its coverage. Trump responded by limiting their access to Oval Office events for 3 days in a row now. This is retaliation, and I don't agree with it, even though I think the AP is being obnoxious and should just call it the Gulf of America. Like, I think that's actually kind of funny renaming it, and they did rename it. But I do support the press's right to use their own word choice and make their own coverage decisions and not face punishment by the government for it. And there's no plausible deniability left here that that's not what's happening here after Trump's press secretary had this exchange with CNN's Caitlin Collins.
Retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the Geographical Identification Name Server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
Yeah, so if the Associated Press decides to sue the Trump administration over this, they're going to play that clip in court. She literally admitted that if you report in ways they don't like or they view are as inaccurate, they will try to punish you. You can't do that, babe. That's not allowed with the First Amendment. Government retaliation against the press because of their coverage is not allowed. Outlets have a right to use the word choice they want to use. The government doesn't get to decide that. And guys, people on the right, we don't want that as a precedent. We don't want to go down that path because a Democratic administration could just as easily say, well, if Fox News isn't going to use the correct pronouns for trans officials, they're going to be barred from the briefing room. I'd be like, that's authoritarian, that's against the First Amendment, against the freedom of the press. So you can't do the same thing, but in some sort of petty fight over the nomenclature of the Gulf of Mexico / America. I think this is a losing battle. I think the Trump people are just being kind of petty about this, and they should really just let the Associated Press call it whatever they want. And if people find it inaccurate or annoying, people can stop reading the Associated Press and leave it up to the public to decide. Keep the government out of it. Well, what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I always love hearing you out. Do let me know in the comments.